I came to found Media Bistro through kind of a very circuitous route. It all started with my own need for community, and Media Bistro is a community website, so the first customer was me. Basically, it all started offline as a cocktail party, and this was in 1994. I had been in the media for about 8 years, and I was lonely and I was disconnected because I didn't have all of the tools of technology at the time that we have today. So, for example, we did not have cell phones. We barely had voicemail. We did have answering machines. There were not a lot of technologies to connect people. So I started with a friend a little cocktail party to connect with other media professionals and to meet people, because I'd been so lonely working from home in my bedroom with no daily routine with other co-workers or colleagues. I was writing a column for Glamour magazine, and this cocktail party once a month became my way of actually touching and feeling and talking to real people. Because most of the time I dealt with my editors and I dealt with other writers on the phone. And so the cocktail party started with 10 people in Jules Bistro, a little bistro in the East Village. And people felt the same way. I realized that I had tapped into a need. I had ready-made customers, and they were all my friends. They were the other people. They were the other people in the media who similarly needed to reach out and touch someone once a month, who needed to talk shop, to talk about ideas, to talk about issues that were affecting our work lives, and to really, and some of us wanted to date, of course. So there were lots of needs that were being met at the parties. That, you know, some people got dates and some people got some extra freelance work on the side, and, you know, everyone was happy. In the beginning, Media Bistro did not start as a business. It just was an offline community. But then, what I realized was all these people coming to the parties, and by within a very short amount of time, I had hundreds of people on my list and then thousands of people. All these people kept saying to me, "Laurel, the parties are great, but they're once a month. I'm getting work I'm getting referrals for work. I'm meeting people that I loved hanging out with. I'm hearing about opportunities. I'm hearing about other events. I'm hearing about apartments." So it was kind of like Craigslist in a party form, if you know what I mean. And so people would say, you know, you need a website so we could all go there all the time, 24/7. We don't need to go there just once a month. And that was a very good suggestion that someone made. In fact, I know who made the suggestion. I'm one of these people who, I listen to my customers. Even though they weren't paying me money and they weren't formally my customers, they were just my friends, I thought, you know, if this turns into something, these could be my customers. So I listen when people suggest you should have a website, you should have an email newsletter, all these things. And I basically took it all in, and I talked to a programmer, and he was referred by one of the editors, and this person put up the first website in 1996. It was basically a directory on his website. It was a little nothing of a website, but it got huge traffic immediately. People responded like that. It really did serve a need. And so it started with that first little website, and then a couple of years later, I started charging for the job listings. Those became quickly the most popular area. The job listings and the bulletin board. And it also had an events page, and it had a resources page. And so it was like Craigslist, basically, for a very targeted audience, media professionals only. And in 1999, I started charging money for the website. The best customers are happy customers, right? So I never want a customer to pay if they're not happy. So I made that my policy very early on. If you're not happy, don't pay me. Only pay me if you're happy. And I would send out emails every month to the list of people who posted jobs, and I'd say, hey, consider this your invoice. Send a $100 check to this PO box if you're happy with your job listing. And literally, the checks started flooding in. And that doesn't mean everybody paid or everybody always pays, but the ones who are happy to pay. In 1999, I realized that the job board was really the beginning kernels of an actual business. Prior to that, it had been a happy social gathering. It hadn't been a formalized business, but I was developing an audience, and now this audience was paying me back in the sense that the job listings were a valuable commodity. So I realized in 1999 that this was what was going on. I started writing my business plan, and by 2000 I got funding. So I took my, what had been a business that I started in my bedroom with 2 cats and 2 interns, and with funding I could actually get a real office space and start hiring, and that's when I started hiring, and I started with just a handful of people. When you're hiring people, when you're first starting out, you have different needs at different stages of the business. When you have a very small business, people have to be very flexible and wear a lot of hats. What you can't do is hire really senior management people who've been in middle management for 3 years and are making hundreds of thousands of dollars. You have to hire junior level people who are going to just take the ball and run and get things done. And they're not going to worry a lot about getting permission or systems and processes. They're just going to get the stuff done, and that's the most important thing. As you evolve into a bigger company, that's when you need routines and procedures and meetings and budgets and all kinds of structure. And so that comes later on, and I realized that later on when I started having a very chaotic workplace, because all these people were just creating chaos. They were getting stuff done, but we weren't getting a lot of, we needed systems at a certain point. The transition to a more structured work environment, once your company grows from being a little startup into, let's say, a mid-sized company. I don't know what that means, a mid-sized small company. The transition for us was very slow and gradual. As people left the company, the next person we hired always had a little more experience and a little more structure. And so we kind of added that accretionally. We didn't just stop business and then hire a whole new staff. That would be crazy. We just waited till there was attrition, and then we developed the internal staff as much as we could, and then sometimes we'd have to let a person go because we realized they weren't fitting the needs of the company now that it was bigger. The one mistake I would say I learned from, I know not everyone has this lucky problem, but I created a pool of stock early on, even when the stock was not valuable at all. And in the beginning, I didn't have a lot of money to pay people, so I would pay people with stock. But since I didn't value the stock, and since to me it was just a number, it was this, millions of stock, I ended up giving a certain chunk of it to a person who did not deserve it. He was a consultant, and he went to Harvard. And maybe he talked me into it, I don't know, but he had a set of deliverables, and he did not follow through. And so when it came time to sell the company, and I did sell the company, that stock was worth a lot of money, and he never gave me the value for the stock. And I feel like I was kind of hoodwinked, and I'm upset about it to this day.